Hi, I'm Jan Klose, creative director at Dick 13, who produces lots of the Fallen.
So tell us about the world of Lords of the Fallen.
The world is a very, very dark fantasy world where there was a conflict between mankind in this world and their god, and they defeated this god in the past, and now, thousands of years later, his army seems to return and destroys the cities and the villages, and people get slaughtered and they don't know why and how to defend. So in the last resort, they take criminals out of their cells to fight for them. And our hero Rurikhan is one of those criminals. And he needs to prove if he's a good guy or a bad guy now that he's out of prison, and if he can save more or less the mankind from extinction and try to find a way to defeat these enemies and find out why they're attacking and what's the story behind it.
How would you describe the gameplay of Lords of the Fallen?
I would say it's tactical combat. It's more or less one-on-one combat, so it's not like big masses of enemies you attack, but it's really about a duel fight that you really try to find the weak spots of your enemy and then attack and then retreat and try to defend yourself. So it's really like a duel fight that you're doing.
Can you elaborate on the combat system, as in the dodge and parry timings, the invincibility frames, really the nitty-gritty of it?
Yeah, so I mean, it's really, you need really good timing for every enemy you meet. They're all a bit different, so it's not like there's one kind of pattern you find out and this is how you play the game, but you really need to find out, okay, this is an enemy with very strong attack or very doing long combos, so I should just get out of the way, but then I see that, for example, there's a time window behind it where he's very slow in recharging or something, and I need to use that to attack him, for example. And for every enemy this is different, so I need to find out, is it good to block for this enemy, also for the class that I'm playing? Is it good to maybe dodge away from it? And so every time you need to find out something new and use what you already learned for a new enemy, and then find out, okay, what's different with this guy? Okay, I wasn't prepared for that, so next time I know, and then I can use my knowledge and fight better.
Describe the balance that you are trying to achieve between challenging but also not frustrating gameplay experience.
Yeah, what we try is really that the enemies are really tough to defeat, and we don't want to change that. But when you're defeated, you shouldn't be frustrated. You shouldn't be put away 1 hour of gameplay to reach them again or something. You should be able to save your game once you achieved something, and that's okay for you, so you can go on. And also, I mean, we want to have this learning effect, so the enemies clearly state what they're doing and you need to learn. So if you die, you should never say, what just happened? I don't know, I just got killed. But you say, okay, so this is a really tough one, okay, so this is a long strike. So okay, maybe next time I need to be a bit more careful, or next time I need to get there faster. And then you get rewarded because you do it and it's working. And you say, okay, yeah, that's it.
Can you elaborate on the game's checkpoint system and the death penalties?
So we have checkpoints in the game, so you can save any time. We save a checkpoint, but when you die in the game, then you get reset to your checkpoints. The smaller normal enemies respawn, bosses and mini bosses they don't respawn, and you lose your experience that you did not save, because you can save your experience at your checkpoint, and then it's there and you can use it to upgrade your character whenever you like. But if you keep it and you don't put it there, then it gets more valuable. So if you run around longer with your experience points, not dying, they get stronger and more valuable. So people who want to play risky, they can do so and they get rewarded. They get things for it, they get bonus for it. But people that are not so risky, they say, okay, play a bit more defensive, they can do so. They just don't get the extra rewards on top. So this is also we want to balance it. So if you're really a tough, brave player, you get more rewards, but you're not punished for being the more passive, tactical player, going on bit by bit in the game. There are always situations for both of these types of players.
Will the game feature multiple difficulty modes?
No, there's only one difficulty mode, and that's difficult. But you can use, for example, magic to make it easier to fend off enemies. You have a magic gauntlet weapon where you can shoot projectiles with, but you can never completely abuse the game system to defeat all the enemies before they get to you. So you got some magic power, but it's not so much, and you can never level it up at that scale that you cannot use close combat. You need to be good at the close combat, but there are ways to make it easier for you to play slower, protective, but then some final rewards, some final extras you will just not get.
Will you have New Game Plus mode?
Yeah, there will be New Game Plus mode, and when you finish the game once, because at the beginning of the game you choose your class of magic, so you can have the warrior magic, the cleric magic, or the rogue magic, and you're stuck with this class throughout the whole game and can upgrade it. But in New Game Plus you can add the next class that you like to your character. So if you play again and you start with warrior magic, you can now add rogue magic, and you have more spells you can pick from because you have rogue magic also. So you can kind of change your experience in the next playthrough and see how cool it would be with another type of character.
Are there features in Lords of the Fallen that you feel encourage replayability?
Yeah, there are lots of features, like we hit a lot of secrets for the player, so there's not one straight path you can go just through. There are many things on your way that you need to discover, and some you cannot discover just with one class. So in a playthrough, when you unlock skills of another class, you can suddenly discover things that were just not available to you in the first playthrough. So there are things that you couldn't discover and that you can discover in the next playthrough.
Are there going to be optional challenges, and can you give us any examples?
Yeah, there are kind of challenge arenas that are hidden in the game. If you defeat a boss, you unlock challenge arenas in the game. There's a certain door that opens somewhere, like a portal. And if you go there in the game world, then you kind of enter a challenge arena where there might be fights with different enemies coming in waves, and you have to defeat 3 or 4 waves, and then you get an extra reward. So you don't need to do this for the normal game at all, but if you do, you can collect some extra reward and have some extra place that you visit and some extra fighting that you can do there.
In one of your promo videos, you mentioned that with different tactics could reward you with different loots on bosses. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, basically some items that bosses might drop, you only get if you use like a more hardcore tactic. So if you, for example, fight a certain boss without using certain elements, for example magic, then you get a special weapon in return. So again, this is for rewarding the players playing the hard way, giving them some access to very cool extra items. But also you can use all your skills and everything to defeat the boss, and you're just happy to defeat the boss. You can also do that. You might just miss 1 or 2 very cool items.
Does the game have multiple endings?
There's like one storyline going through the whole game, but you can change the way it ends. So there's kind of one ending of your main mission, but what really happens and the outcome is what you can change throughout how you play the game, how you interact with other characters, who do you help, at special points in the story, how do you decide, what do you do. So there are things that really change the way the game ends, and yeah, you're kind of rewarded for playing it your special way.
Does the game have any multiplayer features at all?
Right now we don't have any multiplayer features in the game. That might maybe come in some future things we do with it, but right now, as it is, we really focus on getting one thing good, and that's a single player experience.
Can you just tell us a little bit about character customization, and if there are any upgrades for your equipment, how does that work?
Yeah, so as I said at the beginning, you pick your kind of spells that you go with through the game, like warrior magic, cleric magic, rogue magic. However, you also pick your starting gear, like warrior, armor and shield, sword, or cleric or rogue. So, but these you can change in the game. So you can play warrior and use rogue armor, for example, which makes you more vulnerable, but also faster. So it might be cool in some point of the game to act more like a rogue, but you still have your warrior power and your warrior weapon. And again, you can do the same with other classes, so you can mix and match. You get 9 different kinds of weapons in the game, and they all feel totally differently, and you can all use, most of them you can use one-handed or two-handed, or you get dual wield, like one weapon in each hand, and you can really try out a lot. And also you can upgrade the weapons. There are runes that you find in the game, and special spots in the game you can put these runes into weapons to give them special features. And also you find, just with loot, you find new weapons that you might want to exchange for the weapon you're just carrying. So there's a lot of item management in the game, even though it's not like a huge store where you buy and sell. You will have a lot of different options with your items to use in the game.
You can just say the release date and platforms.
It's coming out this fall, in October, for PS4, Xbox One and PC.